This is a demonstration of liquid flow movement. I sometimes call it shape-shifting. For this demonstration, I'm starting on my back, and I just start by paying attention to my breath and how the wave of my breath takes me up and down my spine. It opens my chest. Here you see the chest opening and then down. The exhale rounds the back, and the inhale arches. And now I'm beginning to include the neck and head in kind of a seeking rotation of the spine. First looking right, then looking left, and my spine is still actively arching and rounding, kind of like cow-cat movements, which begins to activate my hips and my legs, my arms. My arms and legs are extensions of this spinal movement, and I include my head as part of my spine, all the way from the top of the head to the tail here, as I start to twist, pressing in with feet and seeing how that one foot will turn my hips one way. When I press in with one other foot, I get a rotation and a reach. And now flexing, which means like closing the body and extending, and with a rotation I completely turn over. It's almost like an X that I make with my body, where I reach across from one leg to the opposite shoulder and arm and twist. Sometimes I twist together both legs, sometimes one at a time. This is reaching back into the foot there. Breathing, tracking the breath. I have no idea where I'm going. It's very undulating, worm-like movement. The limbs are there, more or less trailing and occasionally pressing to create a different push. So there's a press, and that makes me rise up or twist. And then there's a yield that follows. Now my knees coming up towards the chest in a deep flexion. And at this point I begin to shift into an energy I call reaching out. So I'm well planted on the floor, very much activated through my core, and my limbs are almost levitating. It's almost as if they're being pulled. It's almost effortless. Very sort of seaweedy, kind of octopus kind of movements. And you'll see that my fingers and toes are spread, so I'm actually working with resistance. It's almost like I'm pushing into a thick substance. Look, it just pulls me right up my core. I'm pressing against a sort of an invisible viscosity and really doing work in some ways from my core, working against imaginary thickness of the air, feeling into my spaces. How far can I reach and feel fully supported? And here I let my arms take the weight as I come down to the floor. My arms now again reaching out, my legs reaching out, creating a twist. It's just very fluid, just a liquid flowing motion, very strong in the core. Movements coming from the core out towards the limb and following through. So when I reach, I don't just reach a little, I reach all the way. And then my whole spine take me and twist me if I add torsion. And now from the belly, again, it's the back muscles that lift my head. So my whole chest arches and lifts me up onto my pelvis. And again, exploring what happens when I Add some twist, some rotation, some side to side, more pressure in one arm or the other, one hip or the other, reaching out with one leg at a time. Here comes a roll. It's asymmetrical. The limbs are not locked together, both arms and both legs doing the same thing, except occasionally that can be included. But often you'll see them move independently with a twist, all four limbs independently, all moving out from the core, almost like antenna feelers. And here using the floor to the maximum, really using the support of the floor, everything flat, pressing. And you'll notice my head almost always is on the floor, almost like another limb, pressing into the floor, except when I arch. Just letting that continue. The rotation takes my arms up, head goes with them. Lovely. Really self-connecting movement. Really just following and being in the sensual, pleasureful, controlled, unwinding, and that's one sequence.